The mountains, the beauty, no, death, destruction and suicide. Everest. Now Everest stars Jason Clarke, Jake Gyllenhaal, Josh Brolin and John Hawkes. The movie tells the real-life events of a couple people that went on a commercial trip to the Mount Everest, which is one of the deadliest and most suicidal things to do ever. Now going into this movie, I had high expectations. First of all, heights. Yeah, I'm actually afraid of heights. I remember when I went to see Gravity, the first 45 minutes, my palms were sweaty. I was like, oh, shit, holy shit. But I love that feeling, and I love it when a movie can actually convey that feeling. And the cast is awesome. We got Jason Clarke, who kills it in every movie. Josh Brolin, I mean, do I have to tell you that Josh Brolin gives great performances? Jake Gyllenhaal, give this man an Oscar already. And John Hawkes, who in my opinion is also a very underrated actor. So is this movie good? Yeah, kinda. It's a very mediocre movie, and I hate to say that, especially because this movie is based on real life events. But first, let's talk about the positives. The cinematography in this movie is amazing. It's beyond amazing. Seeing the scale of this big-ass mountains and all the scenery, it just looks larger than life. And also the acting. Everyone gives a top-notch performance. Even Keira Knightley's in the movie, and she nails the emotional scenes. John Hawkes plays this extremely genuine good guy who actually wants to climb the mountain because he's a teacher and he wants to show his students that anything is possible, and it's one of those sweet motivations where you're like, ah. But then when you give it a second thought, you're like, wait a second, but you're not actually prepared for this kind of horror and terror. The same goes for Josh Brolin's character, who even left his wife and kids behind to go on a commercial trip to Mount Everest. Jake Gyllenhaal, he actually leads a team up there, and he doesn't really live by the book. He's a cool guy, a slick guy, he drinks a lot, and he seems like a really cool character. But then again, you're like, wait, you are extremely irresponsible because you are in charge of a bunch of people, and what's happening up there, the conditions, the environment, and storms are approaching. Why do you do that? It is suicidal. And we got Jason Clarke, who is actually the main character. And I love him in the movie. He is such a good guy. He's always like, all right, mate. Yeah, mate. It's okay, mate. I'm proud of you, mate. Mate. He's this extremely professional guy who just wants to make sure that everyone's safe and that everyone leaves the mountain in time because a storm is in fact approaching. And now let's get to the negatives. First of all, the pacing in this movie. I know this film is based on real life events, but God, the first two acts are dragging on. Nothing really happens. There's not a lot of character development. There's not a lot of interesting stuff happening, especially when it comes to the actual tracking. And constantly throughout the movie, you're like, why are these people doing that? They are so irresponsible. They leave their families behind. And they don't even fully listen to their guides. Which makes you think, of course, no one deserves these accidents and these horrible deaths. But you're like, this could have been prevented. And that was my main issue with the film. And I think the movie failed to convey the real tragedy by portraying these people like that. Jason Clarke does that for a living. He is an expert and he just wants to get back to his wife. But all those other people, they were arrogant people. They knew they weren't cut out for it. They knew that they could die. And they knew that they had families at home who they were leaving behind. That doesn't mean that in any way, I know there will be people that say, oh, so you think they deserve that shit. No, not at all. I always think it's tragic, but constantly I was like, this could have been prevented. And that really is the biggest problem because I could not relate to these characters. All the time I was like, you guys are insane. You're suicidal. You know that the conditions up there are horrible. It's hard to breathe. You're coughing blood. Your eyesight starts to disappear. And yet you still don't want to give up and just call it a day. No, you want to go up to the mountain, and that's an ego thing, and you're like, leave your ego behind, just save yourself. Please, I don't want to see you die. For example, I saw Straight Outta Compton a couple weeks ago, and I could relate to all the people, even to the people that were a little bit morally ambiguous, but I was like, okay, but I can relate to them and I can see where you're coming from. This time around, I'm like, I totally can't. Why would you do that? Why would you take the risk? Why would you play with your life like that? Which is why, despite the good acting and despite the terrific cinematography, I was like, do I want to see this movie ever again? Probably not. I will, however, say that Everest gets the bronze medal. It's an okay flick, but I think that it really fails in conveying the real tragedy of it all and to give us real character motivations to go up on this mountain. But that's just my opinion. What's your take on it? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, then just subscribe.